Let me ask you something. What's the first thing you do when you wake up? Let me guess. You grab your phone and check how many likes yesterday's post got. How many people viewed your story? Who responded to that message? And if it's not the number you hoped for, that aching emptiness inside, that gnawing feeling that maybe you're not enough. Here's the brutal truth. You're living like a slave, not to a master, not to a system, but to strangers. People you've never met, people who don't know your name, people who wouldn't recognize you if you passed them on the street. And yet their approval dictates your mood, your self-worth, your entire sense of identity. 400 years ago, there lived a man named Miyamoto Musashi, undefeated in over 60 duels, a warrior who walked alone, who answered to no one. Before he died, he wrote down 21 principles for living with complete autonomy. He called it the Dokodo, the way of walking alone. 2 of those principles cut straight to the heart of the sickness plaguing modern men. Never seek pleasure for its own sake, and do not seek to be approved of by others. Today, we're going to talk about what Musashi knew that you've forgotten. We're going to talk about the Ronin mindset, and by the end of this, you're going to understand why chasing likes, matches, and validation is turning you into exactly the kind of weak man you swore you'd never become. Let's start with what's actually happening in your brain every time you post something online. You upload a photo. Could be you at the gym, showing off those gains. Could be you with some clever caption you workshopped for 20 minutes. Could be you living your best life at some restaurant or event. And then what happens? You wait, you check, once, twice, 10 times in the first hour. Each notification lights up your brain's reward center like a slot machine paying out. Each like is a tiny hit of dopamine. Each comment, each share, each validation from a stranger tells your primitive brain, you matter, you exist, you have value. But here's the thing about dopamine. It's not the reward hormone. It's the seeking hormone. It doesn't satisfy you, it makes you want more. It's designed to keep you hunting, searching, craving. That's why 1 like is never enough. 100 isn't enough, because the system isn't built to fulfill you. It's built to keep you dependent. You know what Musashi would think of this? He'd see a warrior who laid down his sword and picked up a beggar's bowl. A man who traded his autonomy for scraps of attention from the crowd. A Ronin was a masterless samurai. When his lord died or when he was released from service, he became untethered from the feudal system. No master to serve, no estate to protect, just him, his sword, and his code. The Ronin answered to no one. His worth wasn't determined by rank, by his lord's favor, or by society's approval. His worth came from his skill, his discipline, his integrity. And you? You're measuring your worth by Instagram likes and Tinder matches. Let's talk specifically about dating apps for a moment, because this is where the validation trap becomes absolutely pathological. You're swiping, she's hot. You swipe right, it's a match. Boom, dopamine hit. You feel chosen, validated, worthy. But let's examine what actually just happened. A woman you've never met who looked at 5 photos and read 3 sentences about you made a split-second decision based almost entirely on your appearance and maybe 1 attempt at humor. And from this, you're deriving a sense of self-worth? Here's what's even worse. When you don't match, when she doesn't respond, when she ghosts after 3 messages, you feel rejected. Your self-esteem takes a hit. You start questioning yourself. Am I not good-looking enough? Was my opener not funny enough? Maybe I should get better photos. Maybe I should lie about my height. Do you see what's happening? You're outsourcing your value to strangers who know nothing about you. Women who haven't seen how you handle adversity, how you treat people when no one's watching, what you've built, what you stand for. They've seen a curated collection of pixels on a screen, and somehow their snap judgment has become the metric by which you measure yourself. A Ronin wouldn't even understand this behavior. Imagine trying to explain to Musashi that you need validation from women who've never watched you train, never seen you create something, never witnessed your character under pressure. He'd ask you, why do you need them to tell you who you are? Do you not know? Social media has turned your entire life into a performance. Every moment is evaluated not by whether you actually enjoyed it, but by whether it's content-worthy, whether it will play well to the audience. You're at dinner with friends, but you're thinking about the angle for the photo. You achieve something meaningful, but the first thought is, how do I frame this for the feed? You're living your life in third person, constantly imagining how it looks from the outside because you've been conditioned to believe that if it's not witnessed, if it's not validated, it doesn't count. This is the death of authentic experience. This is the opposite of what Musashi taught. Never seek pleasure for its own sake. What does that mean? It means don't chase fleeting dopamine hits. Don't pursue things because they feel good in the moment. Seek discipline, seek mastery, seek things that build you into something greater, even when they're difficult, even when no one's watching, even when there's no external reward. The modern interpretation: stop chasing likes, stop performing for strangers, stop doing things because they'll look good on your highlight reel. Do things because they align with your values, because they make you stronger, because they're true to who you are when no one is watching. Here's something you need to understand. Posting about your achievements is often just another form of seeking approval. You hit a new PR at the gym. Amazing. Genuinely commendable. But why do you need to post it? Be honest with yourself. Is it to inspire others? Or is it because you need external validation to make the achievement feel real? Because you need people to acknowledge your progress for it to count? There's a concept in Stoicism that applies here. The difference between doing good and appearing to do good. When you're constantly broadcasting your achievements, you're training yourself to care more about the appearance than the reality. You're performing virtue instead of practicing it. Musashi fought 60 duels and won all of them. He was arguably the greatest swordsman Japan ever produced, and yet his fame came not from self-promotion but from skill so undeniable it couldn't be ignored. He didn't need to tell people he was great. His work spoke for itself. When was the last time you achieved something and kept it to yourself? When was the last time you did something difficult, something meaningful, and simply sat with the private satisfaction of knowing you did it? That's becoming a lost art, because we've been conditioned to believe that unwitnessed achievement doesn't count. Social media isn't just making you dependent on validation. It's destroying you through comparison. You see your friends' vacation photos, your colleague's promotion announcement, that guy from high school who's apparently crushing it in business, that influencer with the perfect body and the perfect life. And each time you feel a little smaller, a little less successful, a little more inadequate. But here's what you're forgetting. You're comparing your reality to everyone else's highlight reel. You're comparing your behind the scenes to their carefully curated performance. And more importantly, you're assuming that their external markers of success equate to internal fulfillment. That guy with the luxury car might be drowning in debt and stress. That influencer with the six-pack might be miserable, obsessed with maintaining an image, unable to enjoy a meal without calculating macros. That friend who seems to have it all might be feeling just as empty as you are, just hiding it better. Musashi wrote, "Accept everything just the way it is, not as an excuse for complacency, but as a rejection of the tyranny of comparison. Your path is yours. Their path is theirs. Comparing them is meaningless. The only comparison that matters is who you are today versus who you were yesterday. So what's the alternative? How do you break free from this cycle of seeking approval, chasing validation, and measuring your worth by external metrics? You become a Ronin. Not literally a masterless samurai, obviously, but someone who embodies that mindset. Someone who answers to no one but themselves. Someone whose value is internal, self-determined, unshakable. Here's what that looks like in practice. First, build in silence. Stop announcing your plans. Stop posting your progress. Stop seeking validation for every step of your journey. Set goals that matter to you. Work toward them in private, and let your results speak for themselves. The loudest achievers are often the emptiest. The most dangerous men are the ones you don't see coming. Second, divorce your self-worth from outcomes. Your value isn't determined by how many likes you get, how many matches you have, how many people approve of you. Your value comes from your character, your discipline, your integrity, your effort. Those are things you control. Everything else is noise. Third, pursue mastery for its own sake. Do things because they make you better, not because they make you look better. Train not for the post-workout selfie, but for the strength itself. Read not to curate an impressive bookshelf photo, but for the knowledge itself. Create not for the engagement metrics, but for the act of creation itself. Fourth, delete the audience from your head. Most of your anxiety comes from imagining what others think of you. But here's the truth. They're not thinking about you. They're too busy worrying about what you think of them. Everyone's trapped in the same narcissistic loop. Break free. Make decisions based on your values, not on how they'll be perceived. Fifth, find fulfillment in the struggle. Stop seeking pleasure for its own sake. Pleasure is fleeting. Discipline is lasting. The satisfaction of doing something difficult, something that tests you, something that makes you grow, that's the kind of fulfillment that doesn't fade. That's the kind of fulfillment that doesn't require external validation. Let's get practical. You can't live in the modern world without some interaction with social media and technology, but you can change your relationship with it. Here's your challenge. 1 week, 7 days. Delete Instagram, delete Twitter, delete TikTok, delete the dating apps. All of it. Gone. But I need it for work. No, you don't. You need email for work. You need a phone for work. You don't need to scroll through an infinite feed of other people's curated lives. But I'll miss out on important updates. No, you won't. Anything truly important will reach you through other channels. What you'll miss is the manufactured urgency, the FOMO, the constant drip feed of dopamine that keeps you dependent. For 1 week, live without the audience, without the validation, without the comparison, and pay attention to what happens. You'll be uncomfortable at first. You'll reflexively reach for your phone dozens of times a day. You'll feel phantom vibrations. You'll experience genuine withdrawal symptoms because that's what this is. An addiction. But push through that. Because on the other side, you'll start to remember what it feels like to be alone with yourself. To do things for no reason other than you want to do them. To have thoughts that aren't immediately packaged and prepared for public consumption. You'll start to remember who you are when you're not performing. Musashi spent the last years of his life in a cave, writing and painting. No audience, no validation, no approval, just a man, his work, and his principles. He wasn't lonely. He was free. That's the path of the Ronin. Not isolation for its own sake, but freedom from the need for external validation. The ability to stand alone, to know your own worth, to define your own values and live by them regardless of whether anyone else understands or approves. In a world that's constantly trying to turn you into a performer, into a product, into a dopamine-seeking validation junkie, this is rebellion. This is strength. This is masculine independence in its truest form. You don't need their likes. You don't need their matches. You don't need their approval. You need your discipline. You need your integrity. You need your standards. Everything else is a distraction. The Ronin walked alone not because he had to, but because he refused to compromise his code for the comfort of belonging. He would rather be true to himself in solitude than false to himself in a crowd. Here's what it all comes down to. Are you living your life, or are you performing a version of your life for an imaginary audience? Every time you check your phone for validation, you're admitting that you don't trust your own judgment about your worth. Every time you measure your success by external metrics, you're giving away your power. Every time you change your behavior to earn approval from strangers, you're betraying yourself. Musashi's final principle in the Dokodo is this: do not regret what you have done. You know why most people regret their choices? Because they made them for the wrong reasons. They chose based on what would impress others, what would earn approval, what would look good from the outside. And when that external validation fades, and it always fades, they're left with choices that don't reflect who they actually are. But when you make choices based on your own values, when you pursue things for their own sake, when you build your worth internally instead of seeking it externally, you have no regrets. Because win or lose, succeed or fail, you were true to yourself. You walked your path with integrity. That's the Ronin mindset. That's freedom. That's power. So stop seeking to be seen. Stop performing for strangers. Stop measuring your worth by the metrics of a system designed to keep you dependent and insecure. Build in silence. Walk alone when necessary. Answer to no one but yourself. Become so secure in your own value that external validation becomes irrelevant. Become the Ronin, the masterless warrior who needs no approval, seeks no audience, and answers only to his own code. That's the path. The question is, are you strong enough to walk it?